3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point, you realized you were married into crazy.
And that's what our podcast is all about. We offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as we unpack this crazy thing called marriage.
So sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
All right, let's go. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Married and Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey. I'm Snooks.
I'm Lovey.
And we want to welcome you and thank you for joining us. This is episode 135 on the MIC.
135?
Oh, hey, we on the MIC podcast.
See, she's trying to take over. See, this is 2 weeks in a row where I said, okay, go ahead. You go ahead and start us off.
Good Lord.
She's getting more comfortable,
I'm
y'all.
not understanding why you feel threatened, though.
It's threatening.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of how you're putting it out there. Like,
I don't know,
y'all.
You
perceive some type of threat.
Women trying to get that equality, and you want equal pay and all this other stuff. Now you want equal time on the mic. I don't know what the world's coming to.
Well, I can get no pay and quit my job.
Was she always? Why you always bring it back to your job?
I'm just saying. You brought up pay, right?
That's got nothing to do with.
Obviously, it does. Wow. I don't work for free. Except for at home, apparently.
How do you really feel? You really want to just quit your job and come home?
Really?
Yeah, but then she's like, "Oh, but we need to go on vacation and da 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 da."
Babe, I married well.
Oh my goodness! Yes, you did. Yes, you did. So once again, we welcome each and every one of you back to the Married into Crazy podcast. Listen, if you haven't already, please go over to Apple Podcast, and if that's what you're listening to us on, and give us a rating. Go ahead and put 5 stars down there. Leave a little bit of feedback. We truly appreciate it. We always love to get that feedback, but that's the way you can show us love. Mm-hmm. And more than that, go out and tell 5 friends. Go tell 20 friends about the podcast so we can actually increase the conversation, the scope of it, the dynamics of it, getting different feedback, different types of individuals, all married or people that are seeking to go down that path of marriage. Mm-hmm. It would be nice to get different input, and not that we don't love the input we already get, because we do,
but just make sure that when you do comment, you just tell Lovey to stop acting crazy and just let me come on home. Come on home, baby.
This is going to turn into Team Snooks, Team Lovey.
No, it's not. I'm just saying.
So did you enjoy your Easter?
I had a blast. Yes, I did.
Well, okay. So what was your favorite part?
Besides eating?
Way too much.
Why is he saying we? Don't put me in that with you.
I ate way too much.
Just the being able to have family come over. We didn't have a big bunch, but all my siblings were here, and my mom was here, and my niece.
Instead of a Botox party, we had a COVID vaccine party where we're just giving shots to everyone. And
no, but I'm gonna tell you this. It's so funny you say that because my mother was like. Everybody like, okay, so what are your thoughts about the vaccination? And she wants to be able to see everyone, and she feels comfortable with us because obviously we've had our vaccinations, but it's important for her to see everyone, and she wants to make everyone makes an informed decision. So yeah, Linda's very serious about it.
She went playing. She came in with her mask on, looked around to see who was here first.
Oh yeah, she did.
She was checking. Oh yeah, I saw her.
I mean, but she already knows. It's like we're very respectful of everyone, and we're not trying to have like a house full of people. That's why we kept it small,
super
circle.
Small. Right. It was nice. We got to see our grandson Isaiah, and for our longtime listeners that have actually gone through the ordeal with us, that Isaiah was a micro preemie and had a series of challenges, hemorrhages. Almost didn't make it, was in the NICU for almost 4 months before coming home. Yeah. And I'm starting to see some of this stuff that people were thinking about. I'm starting to really notice just differences as far as the way I guess,
his communication
and the way he interacts with his environment. So it's different.
He was a micro preemie, but now he's a macro
monster.
Oh my goodness. I'm like, Isaiah, And he listens very well, though.
He does listen well, but he has no fear. I mean,
Ooh,
he's
my
not quite 2 years
goodness.
old, and he climbs up on everything.
Like if you
You
don't
can't blink.
stop, yeah, putting his hand in between the door. I'm like, can you guys watch it, please? Because you're gonna smash my baby's hands.
No, it was a good time having everybody here.
Hmm.
You know,
What was your favorite part?
when everybody left, I
Wow,
loved having them here, but I love to
wow.
see them go. No, just playing. And then, sorry, not sorry. Playing, not playing. No, no, I love having everybody here. It was cool. And then I reach a certain point where I'm like, okay, I'm
You're like
tired.
ready to shut down.
Yeah, I'm like,
I mean,
okay.
but I don't. Everyone didn't really stay a
No,
long
no,
time.
everybody was respectful. It was actually a very good time. My niece
Hmm.
came in from Georgia,
Yeah,
so that was cool seeing her.
Madison. Hmm.
See Maddie here, doing her thing, and it was just good all the way around. So here's the thing: there's so many different seasons, and now that Easter has passed, what are you looking forward to next?
Jamaica.
Yeah, we are going to Jamaica in a couple of months.
Actually, before Jamaica, I'm looking forward to Friday.
To your birthday.
My birthday is Friday. Yes.
Yep. And so we're gonna go to Napa, do some wine tasting,
Hmm.
and just hang out and
Just
just
hang
chill,
out.
get away from the house.
The children.
So it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: there's so many things, and it's funny because right now it's extremely busy for us. Married into Crazy is getting extremely active. There's a lot of interviews that we have scheduled. We had more people schedule interviews today, and it's very cool what the path that we've been on to actually help assist and commune with a lot of other married couples, and for those individuals that are on the path and want to be married. Like we've got some stuff going on with premarital couples. And as a matter of fact, I think I had mentioned already that I'll be performing my very first wedding this year, this month, in a few weeks. And so, and there's premarital counseling that we do as part of our coaching program. And the one thing that keeps coming up on these, it's not even just premarital, it's also within
Just
marriages,
counseling. Oh,
just
yeah.
in
Hmm.
coaching altogether.
Yeah. Hmm.
It's dealing with the baggage from previous relationships.
Yeah. Uh, it's funny when you talk about baggage, you can say dealing with the baggage from previous. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a previous relationship. It
True.
could be a previous interaction that you had with your spouse. A lot of times we say we move on from certain things, but we really don't move on from those things. Physically, we do, but psychologically, sometimes emotionally, we hold on to that thing which happened, that transgression that we feel
Mm.
someone did against us, or someone did something to us, and we get so stuck.
So it's more like seasonal baggage.
Yeah.
We're carrying over stuff from previous seasons within our lives. It
Mm.
might even be
Yeah, I like that.
previous seasons within our relationships. How many? So we've been married 24 years,
Hmm.
going on 25. And so just imagine all the seasons that we've been through. And if you're familiar with our story, you know that we were forced together. We were tricked into meeting each other.
He said for us like it's gun. They had a gun to
Oh,
our
it was the
heads. You gonna
Hatfields and
meet
the
that girl.
McCoys. You gonna marry that girl? Got that girl pregnant, boy. You no.
That's a different girl. What you talking about?
So, but it was different seasons. So we practically. So we always say 3 months, but really it was more like 4 months
When?
when we got engaged. I don't know why. Somehow or another it morphed. I was listening to a previous podcast, and it we met. So we met in December, and we got engaged on your birthday,
So we met in December. We did not become a couple until the end of December, December 29.
right?
So you want to
We
go
met
there?
December 16th.
Okay, but okay. So December 16th to January 16th, January 16th to February 16th, February 16th to March 16th, March 16th to April 16th. But we already engaged.
April,
Oh,
April 11th.
oh, April 16th. It was actually 4 months from the day that we met that you got stabbed. Oh no, you got stabbed on the 14th. Dang, I didn't even know you for 4 months. You was already stabbed.
Mm, poison. All I got
I know
BBD in my
you
head
shame.
now. Never trust a big butt
I
and a
know you
smile.
shame. I know you
That might be the
shame.
title of the podcast. Never trust a big butt and a smile.
Whatever. But yeah, no, I never say 3 months. We always say 4 months later.
Guys, I must warn you.
You know we don't have a prenup.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah,
right. We live in
act right.
California.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but it's one of those things where it's so yeah, it was about 3.5 months or
No, I
whatever.
mean from us being together or from
I'm
meeting.
just saying from the time that we got engaged. So see, here we go, talking to somebody that disc
Oh, good
language.
Lord.
She wants to sit here and
Well,
really go into
no,
the
I'm just
days.
saying because well, when you if you're gonna say something, you have to be accurate when you put it out there,
If you're
right?
driving, are you enjoying this conversation right now where we're just bickering, going back and
We're
forth
not
about dates?
bickering because you're the one who brought it up about 3 months. We never say 3 months.
Anyway,
That must be your other girlfriend.
it might be
Yeah, well, tell her to get it right too.
the antidote to the poison.
Oh, yeah.
No, but the reason I bring that up is because if you are familiar or if you're not familiar with our story, for approximately 4 months after we met each other, we were engaged,
Mhm,
and I got stabbed. I was
mhm,
stabbed by her ex boyfriend. The knife went all the way through my heart, and we had a series of things that transpired. Of course, two open heart surgeries. Uh, Almost did not get married. Well, actually, we were going to get married no
I was
matter what.
like,
But I
what?
mean, people like, well, yeah, if I died, we weren't going to be getting
Oh
married.
well, I mean, no one called off a wedding or was okay. That's what I'm
No, but we
thinking.
had people that were going to boycott the whole 9 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And then
That's
she asked for
right.
the divorce. 4 years after. Four is like your number. 4 months after I met you, I got stabbed. 4 years after we got married, you asked for a divorce. Oh no, I'm gonna have to be concerned about that number
But I don't
four
have 4 kids, so
that I'm aware of.
really.
But the reason I bring all that up is that there's a lot of drama. So we're talking about seasonal baggage now because I do like that phrase. And there's things that transpired in the very beginning of our relationship. And we talked about the collateral damage that you went through in dealing with me getting stabbed and all the focus being on me. And is Ernie okay? Is Ernie better? Is all these different things. And we talked about how people forgot about you. They
Hmm.
forgot about that it was us, we that went through all this. There was damage. You had to go to counseling. Of course, I went through counseling, victims of violent crimes, all that.
Hmm.
But I think that even with all that, we still hadn't learned how to be a couple per se.
Hmm.
And we're still dealing with baggage from previous relationships, and things that we're told as we're growing up. You know, you have to act a certain way, or you're not this, or you're not that. You've talked multiple times about how your brother or your cousins had said certain things to you, or family members had said that you weren't this, or you were that, or you're never going to have this, you're never going to have that, and you're just tripping because that's never going to come. Just all these different things, and it weighs on our minds.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I think that there's couples out there that deal with that and so much more.
Right. I agree.
You can participate anytime.
No, I thought you were getting
Oh no,
somewhere.
I was just saying, but it made me think about.
Anyway.
No, it did make me think about. It wasn't just you though that suffered some collateral damage because you suffered from the collateral damage, I believe, from the stabbing.
From well, yeah, it was the culmination of the stabbing and then everything that happened. Actually, yeah, because of that.
It was like the stabbing was the catalyst,
Hmm.
but then, and I guess ultimately, where I'm going with this, maybe I did too, because as a result of the stabbing and all of that, I don't know if you remember this. There was a very long period that even after we came back from the brink of getting divorced, and the coaching that we went through, the counseling that we went through, all the stuff that we did, started dating each other again, all of that. There was a very long period where I kept telling you, you would say, I would basically tell you that I loved you more than you love me.
I remember that.
How did that make you feel?
I didn't agree with that necessarily. I hate it when you said it. I'm like, quit saying that. And you're like, well, it's true. And I was like, no, I don't know that it is true, but I felt like I would let you have that. And maybe because of the physical evidence of what you did for me, how you protected me. So if that meant that you felt you loved me more, then okay. And then maybe because I was the one that asked for a divorce. So I kind of got where you were coming from when that would come up, because in your head you're like, well, if I loved you so much, why would I ask for it? Why would you ask for a divorce? If you know what I'm saying? If I loved you as much as I say that I did, why would I ask you for a divorce? Because you
Right.
would never ask me for one because you love me, right?
Right.
Okay.
No, and that played in a second, and that did some damage.
It's a psychological thing too.
And it's we talk about self-talk, right? People, you'll hear all these motivational speakers and a bunch of, it's even in the Bible, but there's so many different things that are stated
Mhm.
regarding what we say to ourselves. Pastor Furtick, there's a gentleman named Stephen Furtick that has the book, um, Crash the Chatterbox. The whole premise of the book is crashing the chatterbox. The chatterbox is in your head. It's that thing that keeps talking to you. And it's basically that your spirit, or even maybe not so great of a spirit, just undermining your greatness and planting things in your head. And you have a tendency to say negative things to yourself. And he says, you got to crash that. Well, same thing when it comes to that seasonal baggage that we have when it comes to our relationships. It's one of those things where we'll say things to ourselves about, oh, I'm not good enough, or even worse, I deserve that.
Mhm.
So and so, didn't do this, or he went out with his boy instead of being with me. Oh, I deserve that. It's probably because of something I did in the past or whatever. And I think people in society feed that to us. In our relationship, I know that there was a very long period where I felt like, even though I loved you and we were on the mend and we were back together, I don't say back together, but we were rowing in the same direction. I just felt like we weren't equally yoked when it came to the amount of love that we had for each other. I just felt like I loved you immensely more than you loved me. I didn't doubt that you loved me, but I felt like I loved you immensely. Where you just like, oh yeah, I loved you.
And that was because I asked for a divorce?
Yeah, it was because you asked for a divorce. I just that was extremely traumatic for
No,
me.
well, I know that, babe. But what I'm saying is it just basically it stemmed from that um from that situation that when we were at dinner and I said I wanted a divorce. Did it come from there? If you think back on it, did you have that type of feeling prior to that coming up, prior to the disconnection that we started having? When do you when if can you recognize when you first started feeling like that?
It's interesting you would ask that. Not between us, not like something that you did, uh, but there was the um, just my past. Like I did so much dirt when I was overseas that there were parts of me in my mind that I just felt like it's just a matter of time before that comes back to bite me. Like I'm
Mm,
gonna, they talk about karma.
mhm.
Like, oh, this is just karma. This is all that bad stuff you did to these other people and their marriage. This is it's gonna come back to bite you now. And there was a part of me that thought this is karma coming back to get me.
So you kind of felt like you were waiting for the shoe to drop?
Almost like, yep, this is my payback. I was like, this is my payback. I seriously thought that this is my payback.
No, okay. So you say that after the fact. This is my payback. But prior to, did you were you like, you know, anticipating something bad
No,
happening?
no, I didn't anticipate. I thought, I was on cloud nine. I thought I was going to be, phenomenal. I mean, but there were some periods where even when it got rocky for us, there were some difficult times. Like I'll never forget. I'm not gonna say a name. Where we were on 64th,
Mhm.
and we got into an argument because of there was a relative or slash friend that had said something on the phone, and she called or I called her or something, and but she was on the phone and she was talking smack on the phone about, yeah, well, you know what, she didn't even like dude anyway. She's only with him because he got stabbed, and that was like, oh, that bloomed right there. That was like, okay, aha. My this thing in my head was like, okay, this is a pity thing, and it played a major part in my self confidence when it came to our relationship, and I think that had a lot to do with looking for you to not be as invested, if you will, in the relationship.
Yeah, I remember that situation. I remember that. And I was like, what the heck? I mean, she was privy to information as far as how I was feeling about what I told you, how I wanted a divorce, and she thought I was crazy, but she knew that. And I think that that's why it was taken to heart also, because you're like, oh, so she's an insider.
Right. So she
So
knew
if
if she's
she
saying
says,
this,
then why would,
it must be. I was packing
and I
my
was like,
bags.
what?
Look, I almost cussed right now. Like, I was packing my bags. That's it. I'm out. Mm-mm. And this is before you asked for a divorce.
Was it?
It was before you asked for a
No,
divorce.
it wasn't. It was
Uh,
after.
it was before.
No, it wasn't. It was after.
I don't know.
It was after.
You sure?
I'm positive.
Okay. Well, you're the one that doing all the numbers and checking calendars and stuff, so I'm gonna have to believe you on that one.
Thank you. Anyway. No, but I mean, so one thing that you said is kind of like, we talk about, like you said, you talk about bringing baggage into your relationship. It's funny that you're on the opposite spectrum of it. Not necessarily that I would say you didn't necessarily bring baggage as in drama, but you brought baggage as in psychological,
Mm.
emotional, like, oh, so because I did all this bad stuff, now this is going to happen to me. Whereas a lot of people, they bring all this bad stuff happened to me, so I know you're going to do the same thing, kind of.
It's kind of how that's
But you're on the opposite side. You were the one doing all the bad stuff.
back in
And
the day. Yeah.
back, well, yeah, that's what I mean. And so now you got a legit one. Toot toot my own horn. No. And so you're like, oh, okay. So now, like you say, what is that? The goose and the gander, or something about the goose. Oh my
What's
gosh.
good for the goose is good for the gander.
Yeah, kind of like that, I knew something like that. But you know what I'm saying? So you're waiting for the other shoe to drop, maybe not even realizing that you were waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Right. And it's like we're doing this all psychological damage to ourselves
Hmm.
in the process. And here's the thing, what's that acronym for fear? False
False evidence appearing real.
false evidence appearing real. So all this false evidence, and it was appearing real to no one but me in my head. And the question I pose to all of our listeners is, how much are you letting fear, false evidence, appear real, but it's only in your head? It's not really manifested in the real world. It's not manifested in a relationship, other than you making it, forcing it into your relationship and creating challenges for the other person because they have no idea what's going on in your head.
Hmm.
And that creates a series of hurdles, a series of burdens that we need to overcome ourselves before we can truly match up with the other person. You're smiling. What's in your head?
Well, I'm smiling because just what you just said. It becomes, now that your fear becomes my burden.
Mm,
So now I have to prove that no, this is not the case. This is not, and I can only do so much. And then when I'm trying to do, okay, for us, I'm just gonna say, when that happened, okay, so let me back it up a little bit. If anyone ever asked me, what if there's anything that I ever regret, and I've said this before, maybe not on the podcast, but I regret saying to you that I wanted a divorce, that I wasn't in love with you anymore. I regret that because I re- I regret that pain. I remember the look in your eye when I said it to you, and I know that, I know what that look of hurt is. So if there was anything that I would ever say that I regretted in our relationship, that is the one thing that I will always say, that I regretted. I hurting you like that. I know that because of that, the avalanche, the snowball effect, everything that happened, it happened for our good. and now it's happening, and for the good of others, because here we are, we have this platform of how to get back from the ultimate, I don't know, betrayal, ultimate pain, ultimate hurt, ultimate whatever. um so we're able to get back there, and we've been blessed to be able to tell people how we've done it. I just wish that maybe there was a different way that we were able to get here than to the piercing of the heart. Because we talk about, you say, oh, you know your heart was pierced, but not by a cupid's arrow. It was pierced with a serrated knife, but it was also pierced with these words: I do not love you, I want a divorce. So, and the doctor was able to sew your heart back up, um physically, you know, and it required some, all the things that you had to go through, and then you had to have another open heart surgery. But I can't undo those words that I said, as far as like that, that's like that one analogy of the throwing the knives in the fence. I can take that knife out, but that hole is still there, and over time, whatever, you got to replace the whole fence, whatever. But I don't, that's not a moment that I'm proud of. You know, that's not a very fine moment in my you look at my life and be like, oh, Lord is gonna be like, oh, I don't know if that was the right way, girl. But it got us here.
Right.
So I know some people are like, you gotta break down to tear down to build back up, but I wish there was a different type of tear down. I don't necessarily ever want to see or inflict. I never want to see that type of pain mirrored in your eye, especially from what I inflicted. I don't care what happened, as far as how I felt betrayed, or how I felt let down, or whatever it was that I felt. Um so I say that to forget everything I was gonna say.
Oh,
Woo,
she was on one.
good
No, but
Lord.
you know what?
No, go
You,
ahead.
it's our failures that forge the path to our future successes.
Hmm.
And I think it's those failures within our relationships, if we're willing to learn from them and grow beyond them, that's what actually ends up helping us. And I agree with you that it's, had we not gone through those things, and look, there's a lot of relationships out there in the world that go through so much more
Hmm.
than what we've gone through. There's plenty that have gone through nothing like it, that have been much more fairy tale-ish, but they do exist. And I think there's something to learn from each and every one of us. But our path has been our path, and I think that it forged a way for us, like you said, to be able to share with other couples, to be able to share and at least gain some knowledge and insight and perspective that others might not have. To be able to go through that. How could we ever be? How could God prepare us to coach other relationships or premarital relationships that have gone through trauma and difficulties and challenges, had we not gone through
A trauma,
our trauma, our
a
difficulties, and our challenges?
difficulty, a challenge. Yeah, that was I mean, and it, it's I know no one who's ever gone through that type of trauma. I mean, I know there's been some, you talk about physical altercations, or abuse, and things like that. For you to basically die and then be brought back and revived, and you know everything that you had to go through, it makes sense that all the focus would be on you, because we see physical pain. We see, well, that just makes sense. We have to comfort him. We have to do all these different things. We have to make sure that he's well. We have to make sure that he comes out of the hospital, and even when he comes home, okay, we need to make sure his heart is okay. You're just not going to burst, or it's not going to, you're going to be able to get up and walk, and it's not going to be too much strain on your heart. And those are the type of things that we see and that we know. We always forget. I feel like a lot of times we forget about the psychological part of it. We forget about that. I think where I was going with the whole knife thing was, um though that's something that will play back in your head over and over and over again. I'm sure that it did. Those words, that scenario. I'm a visual person in the sense that, like I told you before, when I read, I see color. I see the whole everything just plays out. And when something gets me, and I don't know if it's because of how I am or how my mind is set up, I could that reel just goes and goes and goes, and then I'll rewind it, and then it goes and goes and goes, and then I'll rewind it. And even when I'm trying to get out of thinking about that particular thing, I still think about it, so I'm sure that was something for you. Well, I'm saying I'm sure it was, but how do you get past the woman who says she loves you and she wants to marry you and we want to have this life together, and we prayed about and all these different things, and then not the next thing but almost like, oh wait, you don't love me, what?
It's what's really cool about that question is that
What
it's like our
question?
well, just like how do you get past that?
Oh.
How do you move beyond that? And it's funny, we talk about seasonal baggage. As I was out working in the yard, I was mowing the lawn yesterday in the front yard, not the backyard, because if you anyway, that's a whole other story. I'm not going to go there
Yeah,
regarding
$60 later, but go ahead.
regarding our daughter.
Hmm.
But the I was looking at the plants because we had some landscaping done early in the year, and I was looking at some of the flowers that I thought had died and had fallen off, and now they're sprouting again. They're seasonal, so now they're coming back, and they're beautiful, and they're going to be strong. And it's funny, and for a season, they were dormant basically. And you're asking, so how do you come back from something like that? And I think that if you're open, if there's still nurturing, there's still enrichment that takes place. And I think we were fortunate enough to seek out coaching after a certain point, and we were looking for a way to grow beyond where we were at. And that's the only thing I can think of is that it was seasonal, so we started to bloom again.
Yeah, but in seasons, I mean, and okay, so let's use our relationship. Seasons, like you say, our lemon tree sometimes is in full bloom, and then there's nothing, and then the little buds or whatever.
Mhm.
But I don't necessarily think that it has to die, or not die, but what does it, be dormant?
Well, but these plants, they look dead, like they're
No, but
dead.
I mean, in a relationship, if we're using that type of, you know, there, you don't have to, your grass doesn't have to go green in
But
your relationship.
you do. And when you go through trauma, like we've been discussing, I think there's a certain portion of you that not the relationship doesn't have to die, but you have a certain portion of you have to die into yourself.
No, I get that, but for me, and maybe I'm just thinking too much, because season that's annual. Every year, the flowers are going to die, and then they're going to come back unless you completely uproot them, right? But what I'm saying is that seasons in marriage um doesn't have to be like dormant, and we don't have to have um
True that, but you know what? So it'll go from winter, spring, summer, fall, right? And those are
mhm,
the seasons. And those same seasons can actually pop up within our relationships, but one winter could be more harsh than another winter.
mhm,
One spring can be, more beautiful than another.
right.
Some springs can be very, horrible. A fall, you might end up getting a polar vortex, or whatever. So these different ways, and I think that just being prepared and laying a foundation that what you go through, if you can at least save it and experience it, learn from it, you can grow from it. I think the greater challenge, though, that we kind of veered away from was the damage we do within our own heads.
Mhm.
And I think that though we were having these seasons that come and go in all relationships, the one thing that because we can't really control exterior circumstances. We can't control it. We had no control over that individual breaking into your home or I should say forcing his way into your home and then attacking you, and then I end up getting stabbed. We had zero control over that scenario as it played out. I suppose if I wouldn't have engaged him and fought him, you know, that maybe I wouldn't have gotten stabbed. But
Are you
then that means
dead?
that you could have.
I'm like, what? I'd be dead.
I'd be like, man, there's that one time. Yeah, I was dating this chick.
Wow.
No, but
Okay.
um, So with us not being able to have that level of control, the one thing we can control, or at least have a modicum of control over, is what we process or think in our heads.
Mm-hmm.
And it's we got to learn to sit there and take these things, these negativities that we've been carrying around with us for so long. Like me, oh, it's just a matter of time before this comes back to bite me. I was a jerk overseas, and I was sleeping with these married women, and I was doing these different things, and I was just just a dog. And then when I come back, think, okay, well, and I just thought that, okay, it's just a matter of time. I believe, because you always hear, oh, karma's going to get you, karma's going to come back on you, whatever. And then when things started to transpire in my life, I was like, oh, there it is. And then all of a sudden, this negative tape started playing on a loop. You deserve this. What makes you think that you're going to get beyond this? All these different things. And then it was like, oh, she don't love you like you love her. And it's like all these negativity started to really spiral out of control, to where it was like really making me doubt, you know, A, did I deserve you? B, were we supposed to be together? C, did you really love me? Or, so all these different things were playing in my head. But see, so many relationships, people that we talk to, the people that we coach and guide, there's these other forms, not to that extent maybe, but there's other forms of that have been planted either by their doing from previous relationships or things that people have said to them. And we've got to find a way to make sure that in order to bloom in that next season, when we come back around, like I was talking about flowers, you still have to make sure that the soil is
Enriched.
is enriched.
Mm-hmm.
You have to control the environment, make sure it's getting the love and the nurturing attention, not sitting there and throwing, just depleted soil or dirt on top of it, getting to the point where it's not prepared to actually be in the right environment to grow. And we have to make sure that we take a lot of steps to ensure that our minds are fertile ground when it comes to being able to accept the love that is given to us.
And accept it for what it really is. Accept it for. Oh, I think that's where I was going, because I was saying how I had to like prove to you time and time again that no, I do love you, no, I do this, and that can be consuming for a lot of people. And some people will at some point be like, you know what, I can't do this anymore because you don't. It's almost like you didn't trust me to, like, with your heart anymore,
It was
you
very
know.
true.
And so now I'm like, I have to prove that I'm worthy of your heart, I'm worthy of all
That's
these
right.
different things.
And you'll keep.
I can't with you. But you know what I'm saying? And what can end up happening, that in itself will end up, or could potentially end up, driving a wedge, driving you further apart. And you're what could happen is you could be like, you would create this whole big scenario in your mind, and then when I'm not acting on it, but in some way, shape, or form, to you, I'm acting on it, and I just proved everything that you thought in your head by when I say I can't anymore.
Oh, that's so true. I mean, I can't tell you how many times. I won't say not how many times, but there were
I
so
was
many
like,
times.
really?
No,
No,
there were a few times where I'm like, oh, I know she's messing around with somebody at work. I know, but what I was doing was projecting onto you
you're fierce.
my fears and insecurities from who I
What you
used to
did.
be.
Hmm.
Right. So I was projecting onto you that, but then what was feeding that was that I know I love you more than you love me. Therefore, you must be out there doing dirt and da 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 da. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna get you before you get me. I'm watching. I'm just gonna catch you.
Oh, you was gonna get
I
me?
was gonna get you.
Oh,
Oh yeah, I was
okay.
lurking around the corner. No, but it was one of those things where it just created all this discontent. And you're asking, well, what made the difference? What made the difference? And I know that so many people pray, but I will. I just got to say that probably the great equalizer was that we were both going to God.
Hmm.
We weren't. We probably would have had a better chance or a better time had we gone to God together. But I felt like we were. I know that we were going to God separately.
Hmm.
I was having my conversations with God, and you were having your conversations with God. But we were having these constant conversations, and God was probably like, "If y'all would just get on the party line together."
Right, exactly. Because one thing that I did pray, I prayed every day, okay, Lord, your will be done. Your will be done. I didn't say, Lord, I'm praying to leave this relationship. Lord, I'm praying that he moves. I just, I prayed your will be done. That's how much faith I had that he was going to make sure that it worked out. That didn't mean that I just didn't do anything because we still had to do the work, but your will be done. And I still, as I said, your will be done. I was still fighting it.
That's funny you
I ain't
say
gonna
that.
lie, I was still fighting it, but that was every single day I said that.
And every day you were saying that, in my ignorance, I was on my side talking about this too shall pass. So I'm like, this too. But what I didn't realize is that the thing that needed to pass was some of my ways, my immaturity, the things that I was dealing with. I'm thinking about this too shall pass. This too, she gonna wake up and realize what kind of man she got.
And I did.
But this too shall pass was also I needed to shed that skin,
Mm,
that ego and that immaturity.
hmm And his will being that, okay, girl, you better suck it up. But I mean, it's not going to happen the way that I want it to happen,
Or me.
you know? So,
And then just so this all started because we're talking about baggage, and the collateral damage just wasn't happening to you, but a lot of it was happening in my mind as well, and things I had to deal with.
and that carried on for years.
It was years.
Yeah.
It was years, and it's funny. And I don't know when. One day I just saw you, and
And believed me when I said I love you.
not only just believed you. It was just like our. It's gonna sound really stupid and corny and all that, but it wasn't. It
Big.
wasn't like you had love and I had love. It was almost as if it was just we shared a love
Hmm.
that I didn't see. There was no ending of where I started and ended, and then your love picked up and
Right,
went
right,
on.
right.
It was all
It's
just.
a blend and a
It was
mesh,
just all one love.
abstract.
It was all. It wasn't about me loving you more than you love me, or you loving me more, or you loving me, equally, or whatever. It was just one love.
Hmm.
It's funny. I think about McKaylee, our brother-in-law. He always says one love. And we used to always. I mean, that was a phrase that was always said, but just right now in this moment, I think of
One love.
one love. Just took on a whole new meaning for me, just
Hmm.
right now. And I think that ultimately that's what we're trying to reach when it comes to marriage is just one love, not
Your
uh,
love, my love,
it's just one love,
his love, her love. It's one love. Yeah, I like that. That's what we name this podcast.
one
One
love.
love.
So okay with that, we done. One love, y'all.
One love. Peace.
No, it's funny. We had ideas about coming into this and notes, and then it kind of took on a life of its own. Um, if you didn't hear it or feel it, there was some therapy that was just done right here, right now, and it was nice to kind of air some of that out. And if you were feeling the same way, if you're going through some challenges, and anything we said resonated with you that you are experiencing, feel free to pick up the phone, call us, the numbers on our website, or you can actually go to our website and just book an introductory call. And let's have a free 15, 20-minute conversation about whether or not there's some coaching that needs to take place, that we can actually work with you and help you through some of those challenges. we have a It's a blessing for us to be able to help other couples. That's our calling. That's what we love to do. So be sure you go to our website, which is marriedintoCrazy.com, and go ahead and book that introductory call. It's absolutely free. You have nothing to lose. You can walk away from it saying, hey, cool couple, but it's not what we need right now. Or you can say, you know what, I definitely want to invest some time, because it is an investment. It's the greatest investment you're going to make is in your relationship. And we can sit there and we can talk and help you, challenge you, and hopefully guide you, and be a conduit through God, for God's love to shine on you, and be able to just really help you get to that next level in your relationship. We want to help you go from needs improvement to good, from good to great, from great to phenomenal. So with that said, at this point in our podcast, we are going to go into the I Can for couples like we do every single week.
Oh.
I'm going to do it because last week you cheated. She took all the, if you remember, she took all the affirmations out, and I only had one in there. And so I rebuked her. I did not massage her feet. So what I am doing though is I'm taking her to a
Oh my
spa
gosh,
this
Lovey,
this upcoming weekend for her birthday.
such a baby. So I
So
rebuked her.
I rebuked you. Okay, so mine says I can take an interest in my partner's hobbies.
Okay. Mine says I can wash his car.
Wash my car, girl.
You take it into the car dealership
I know.
or wherever. First of all, let me just say this. If I even tried to wash Lovey's car, he would have something to say about, oh, you missed a spot here. Why you do it like that? Did you put this right here? What kind did you use?
I'm kind of particular about.
Mm.
That's why I take it to the people so I can point at stuff and say, you missed a spot. Why did you do this? Oh, why did you? So yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. Anyway.
hey, we are very appreciative of each and every one of you. You have a lot of choices to listen to when you listen to podcasts, radio stations, what have you, and we feel blessed that you spent time with us. We do ask again that you tell a friend, tell your mama, tell your auntie, tell your cousin, tell your granny, and get them involved in the conversation. And again, we're everywhere. Be sure to go check out the YouTube channel as well if you want to actually watch the facial reactions and so forth that we have during the podcast itself. So until the next time, be blessed.
Bye bye.